In a previous lecture, I explained the file and folder structure of Ionic for Angular app, told you where to add which codes and so on. In this lecture, we will pull all the products of our WooCommerce store. To use WooCommerce API, you need to create a pair of API keys and use it in HTTP request. Here you can see in every HTTP request we have to send two keys, consumer key and consumer secret. And this is the documentation that you need to follow to create a pair of key from WooCommerce. Here you can see the source folder, and under source folder we have app folder. We will create all our necessary codes under the files of app folder. To pull all products from WooCommerce store, we need to create a service, and from that service we will call a function that will send the HTTP API request to our store and pull necessary products. So here I created the services folder, and under services folder I created a service called WooCommerce service. Here you can see this is my store URL, and this is the string, that is the path for WooCommerce REST API base. We will need to pass this with URL, and every time we call an API we have to send consumer key and consumer secret. You can see it here. This is the site URL and this is the WooCommerce REST API base URL, and here is the rest of the string we have to pass. So we are going to list all products. So our API URL should look like this. Now let's copy this and create a function in service. Here we have to declare HTTP client variable. Now let's create a function. We can call it get all products. This function should return all the products pulled by API calls. Here at first we will create API URL, and we will send that API URL inside HTTP GET request. So let's create API URL at first. Use backtick for string interpolation. Here this is site URL. Then we have to send WooCommerce REST API base. Now we have to put this part here. Here we have consumer key. Then we have to send consumer secret. So our API URL is ready. Here we can console log the API URL. Now we will call HTTP GET request and pass this API URL there. HTTP.get and here we will pass the API URL. So our service function is ready. Now we have to create necessary code in homepage, as we are going to pull all product inside homepage. So let's go to homepage.ts. Here we will inject the WooCommerce service. So it should be like this. Here I automatically imported the WooCommerce service. Now let's create a function, all store products. Here from this function we will call this function, and it will return necessary products here. So let's take a variable at first. Where we will store all of our products that is received from here. So we have to subscribe the function. Here by subscribing this function, we received all the product pulled by this API URL inside this data variable, and then we assign this data variable to all products. Now we can console log and see in console if the product is pulled properly. Okay, we have to call this function inside constructor, so that whenever we come to this page, this function get called. Now we can check the browser. Okay, you can see the API URL is here, and you can see it pulled 10 products from our store. Here are the products list. So we have successfully pulled product from our WooCommerce store and printed it in console. In next lecture, we will show this product in homepage using Ion Grid and Ion Card.